Hi everybody, welcome to or back to my channel. My name is Shea and today I have another language learning video for all of you. Today I want to talk about developing your own language study routine because I know when we first start learning a language, we're all really excited to start and we can't imagine a time where we will get sick of it or get bored. But eventually life gets in the way, work gets busy, stuff happens, and you realize that you start to study less and less. For me personally, I think that's one of the biggest roadblocks when it comes to learning languages, especially on your own. So what I wanted to go over today was how I create a study plan every single week. And I actually created a new workbook that I'm selling and I will walk you through it. But if you're interested, I will definitely leave the links down below. It's 19 pages and it has a ton of resources to help you create a weekly study plan, as well as come up with some ideas for different activities you can do. And I'll go through all of that in this video. And then if you're interested, you can definitely purchase. It will help support me and this channel. So I really appreciate if you do decide to buy the workbook. So let's jump into the video. I'm gonna go over exactly how to structure a weekly plan. I personally prefer to plan it out by week and not anything longer than that. I feel like if you come up with a whole study plan for the month, it's really easy to just kind of mess up at some point, or maybe you miss a day and then before you know it, you're just overwhelmed with everything that you've missed out on. So for me personally, I actually like to just plan out 1 week in advance. So let's get to it. The first part of this is planning out your study activities. So when I say study activities, that just refers to all the different things you do that help you study the language. And I personally separate these into 4 categories. So you have reading, writing, listening, and speaking. That's just how I split up my activities, and I think it's really important to get a good mix of all of those different things so that way your language learning is well-rounded. These can be things like reading a chapter of a book, reading a short story, listening to a song in your target language, writing a journal entry in your target language. Just any different things that help expose you to the language, whether that's active, so writing, or passive and more just like listening. What I recommend is writing 3 to 5 activities in each of the categories, and that way you'll be able to slot those into your weekly schedule. If you need some more ideas of different activities you can do, in my workbook I have this huge long list of all these different activities that you can incorporate into your routine, so definitely be sure to check that out. So the first thing you want to do is decide how much time you can realistically devote to studying every single day. I know it's tempting to say, oh, I can study for an hour a day, but for most of us, that's not really possible. So I'd say use the first few weeks to see how much time you realistically do have. And I would recommend not doing more than maybe like 20 to 30 minutes a day. I would say try to aim on the lower end of how long you can study. So maybe for the first week, just try 20 minutes. And if that feels like that's way too short, then add on. And then I want you to decide how exactly you want to structure your week. So for me personally, I like to study a few different activities in each of those categories per day. But some people might prefer to do 1 category per day. So maybe Monday is all reading activities, Tuesday is all writing activities. It's whatever you want because you want your language learning plan to be catered to you. But for me personally, I like to have a mix so I feel like I'm getting a little bit of everything every single day. After you decide that, you'll have the amount of time you want to study each day and what you want to study. Then you can start slotting in those activities that you wrote down earlier. So just keep in mind that if you do decide to study for 15 minutes a day or 20 minutes, you don't really have that much time to do a lot of activities. So definitely don't slot in like 4 activities for that day because it'll probably take longer than 15 to 20 minutes. I'd say if you're aiming to do 15 to 20 minutes, maybe do 1 to 2 activities. So that could be like reading a short story and studying vocab or something like that. If you decide that you want longer, you can probably do like 3 to 5 activities. Let's say you decide to watch a movie or watch a show, that could be like 45 minutes right there, or an hour and a half or something. So that could be like your only activity for the day. But you could also structure it where you have some days are longer and some days are shorter. Like maybe one day you just decide to watch a movie and that's your studying, that's totally fine. And another day you can actually do like written exercises. Again, it can be whatever you think works best for you. My last tip for making your schedule is don't try to study every single day. It's definitely easy to get burned out, and I know after I've been studying for a while, there are some days where my brain just feels tired and I don't want to study anymore. So I definitely say aim to study at least 3 to 5 days per week, but maybe if you just want to take 1 day off, that's fine too. Again, it's up to you, but I definitely recommend giving yourself a few days off from studying, or maybe study every other day. I do have a printable worksheet in my workbook that you can print out and write this whole schedule down so you don't have to make your own. So that's another plus of buying the workbook. And again, you can fill it out however you want. You could skip days, not do the whole week, whatever it may be. Now that you have your week scheduled out and you're ready to start studying, I also want to bring up a few important things that you should keep in mind along the way. So first of all, language learning is a marathon, not a sprint, and I know how tempting it is to feel like there has to be some quick hack or some quick way to learn. I just want you to know that you shouldn't compare yourself to where other people are at in their journey. Everyone learns at their own pace, so definitely don't feel bad if you feel like you're not learning as fast as some other people might be. So that is also why I want to mention how important it is to keep track of your progress. Because you could be learning a language for months or years and feel like you haven't actually made any progress, but you are still making progress without even really realizing it. I know for me personally, it's been about a year now for me, and I feel like I haven't gotten very far, but when I go back to watch old shows that I used to watch, or now when I watch YouTubers, I'm able to understand almost everything that's going on, whereas in the beginning, I definitely didn't. So I definitely know that I'm making progress, but there are some times where I still feel frustrated with where I'm at. So that is why it's important to keep track of how far you've come and things that you've learned, and also things that you still need to work on. In my workbook, I also have a page that is a progress report sheet, and it asks you a few questions to fill out at the end of every week or every other week or maybe at the end of every month. And it just asks you things like, what did you understand the best, or what was not hard for you, and then what was hard for you and needs more time. This is important because it's very tempting to keep studying things that we already understand and know, because it feels good to be right and to study things you already know, whereas some of the more challenging things you might be avoiding, and instead you're just studying things you already know and not making progress. It also asks questions like, how was the schedule itself? Was it doable? Are there any things you should change? As far as like how long you study or maybe the activities you're doing. And there are a lot more questions in the book, so again, I recommend checking that out. These progress reports and little checkups like that are really important to help you improve and also to help you realize how far you've come from the beginning. And then looking at even bigger picture goals, I want you to also set some bigger milestones so there are things that you're working towards, because it also is very easy to just be studying and not really know the bigger picture of what you're working for, especially if you're not learning a language for a bigger exam, because then it's kind of hard to think like, okay, why am I doing this? Like, what's the big goal here? So I think it is important to set big picture goals at the end of every month. And again, I have some ideas in the workbook that I'm selling and also a monthly calendar so you can write in some of those ideas. But it could be things like, at the end of this month, I want to be able to have a 20-minute conversation with a native speaker in this language and have it be almost perfect, or like just feel very conversational, very easy. So it could be something like that. It could be, at the end of this month, I want to read a whole book in my target language. So bigger things like that, and things where the little activities that you're doing throughout the week are helping you reach that goal. So if your goal this month is to do that 20-minute conversation with a native speaker, then you're going to want to be incorporating things into your weekly schedule, like listening to recorded conversations or practicing just like 5-minute conversations or something like that. So you want those goals to help you get to your bigger goals. And that can also help you structure your week so you know what you're working towards. Like I said in my workbook, I have a monthly calendar, and I would recommend setting 1 to 2 big goals per month. Try to stick to your milestones as best as you can. Language learning can be a super rewarding process, but it's also really difficult, and I really admire all of you who are messaging me and sending me your study plans and saying how much I've inspired you to keep going, because that also keeps me going, because it makes me really happy to see how many of you I can inspire to keep going. I personally am a really organized person, if you haven't realized that already, so I love having study routines and structured schedules. So if you're interested in that and being really organized with your language study, definitely make sure to subscribe and like this video. I know everyone learns differently, so some of my techniques might not work for you, but I recommend trying out a bunch of different things. So maybe if someone's finding success with a certain method that you're just like, I can't do this, it doesn't work for me, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with them. Everyone's just trying to learn. But I do recommend getting a well-rounded study routine. So like I said, doing things in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So if you enjoyed this video, Be sure to check out my workbook that I linked down below. It's $7. It includes all the information I mentioned in this video, but also includes some other resources and exercises and stuff like that that will help you on your language learning routine. And if you decide to purchase it, just know that the money that I get from this book is going towards saving up to live in Italy again, which is my dream, as most of you know if you follow this channel. So grazie, and thank you so much for watching this video. I hope to see you all again very soon. Ciao!